Hi guys, welcome to another Barb Stamps video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do the grid lines technique. And this is my technique card for my gals in my online, well, Totally Techniques online club for the month of October. So if you're in my club in October, you're going to be getting this card in the mail from me, along with an instruction card telling you how to do it. So if you want to be part of my Totally Techniques online club, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is place an order with me at shoppingwithbarb.com. Use my monthly host code that you can find on my blog at barbstamps.com or in the description of this video for the month of November. Once you shop with me and place a $30 or more order, you need to send me an email at barb@barbstamps.com and let me know that you want to be part of the club. That's it. And then I will mail you the technique card along with the technique instruction card with a sample of the technique on the back each month that you do that. Now, the bonus is if you place a $30 order with me, that's a minimum, of course. You can spend whatever you want. If you order with me 6 months in a row, then you will get a $30 gift certificate from me. And all you have to do is go to my website, barbstamps.com, click on the Totally Techniques Online Club, download the form, fill it out with your order information, mail it to me, and I will get your products to you. And then you can sign up and start all over again. So, Totally Techniques Online Club, let me get the supplies here. Very minimal supplies for this card. I have a 8.5 by 5.5 inch cherry cobbler card base. I have a 3.5 by 5.5 inch piece of Very Vanilla, 3 5/8 by 4 5/8 piece of Early Espresso, a 1 inch strip of cherry cobbler, and a 3/4 inch strip of vanilla. Now, to do the technique, you need to figure out how big you want your squares. In my sample, my squares are 1/2 inch. So therefore, I cut my cardstock, my neutral cardstock, to be able to divide by a 1/2 inch. So 3.5 by 4.5. I wouldn't want to do it 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 because then the grid's going to be off and there's going to be some weird spacing on there. I want the spacing to be nice and even. So if you're going to use 1/4 inch squares, you're going to want to do something that will divide with a 1/4 inch. So like 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, 4 3/4 by 2 3/4, whatever it is. You want to make sure that your chosen increment of square is going to work with your dimensions of your piece of cardstock. So I'm going to get my Simply Scored tool and we're going to do our scoring on this piece of paper. All right, here we go. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to place this up in the corner of my Simply Scored tool. Now you could use a paper trimmer, of course, with a scoring blade. And I'm going to score this at every 1/2 inch. And now I am using some pretty good pressure, just enough that I do not tear or rip my cardstock, okay? I want the score lines to be as deep as possible without ripping the paper. And as I said, I'm going every 1/2 inch. There we go. Then I'm going to 1/4 turn this puppy. And we're going to do every 1/2 inch again. Okay. And you can see, like I said, because my piece of paper divides by halves, I have a super nice grid pattern here with no excess smaller squares. All right, let me get rid of this. And I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper so I can do some stamping. And now for the stamping, I am going to use the Painted Poppy stamp set, these two detailed leaf images here, and the Love of Leaves stamp set. I'm going to use these two and these two along with the little sentiment out of this stamp set. I've got my 3 colors of ink here. I've got Cherry Cobbler, Pumpkin Pie, and Crushed Curry. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to ink up some of the leaves and stamp them onto my grid. Now, I don't want this stem, so I'm not going to ink up the stem. I'm only going to ink up the leaf, okay? And now you want to put some decent pressure, but not a lot of pressure. Actually, I'm going to bring in a foam mat. I changed my mind. Because I don't want to go over these lines. I don't want to, you can see how nicely that is, how the lines show up in the detail of the stamp. That's what you want. You don't want to press too hard that you fill in these gullies around the piece of cardstock. Whoops, that would have been bad. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my large leaf, and we're going to do that in pumpkin pie. And let's see, where do we want this one? Maybe right here. Okay, and I'll ink this up here, and maybe we'll come in from the, actually I'm going to bring in my little smaller images here, these two little small leaves. I'm going to do some filling in first before I actually get too crazy with my pumpkin pie. I want to make sure that there's room. So bring that in. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my pumpkin pie. Whoa, I'm just having a heck of a time with these things. So I'm going to go around the, what do you call that? The stem there. There we go. And we'll bring in these leaves again. And we'll go here. And then I think I'm going to do one here. And then I think I'm going to ink this up one more time and come in just slightly with the leaf right here on the corner. Now that looks amazing. Whoops. Well, we're going to wait here. And then I'm going to bring in the detailed images, okay? And I'm just going to stamp over the images that I already have. And I'm actually turning this and making it a little bit, you know, not so that every image doesn't go the exact same direction. Then I'm going to bring in this smaller leaf, and we will finish this off. That, and we'll probably do one here. There we go. Maybe over here on the edge. And now if you want, you can take a sponge dauber, and you can also add some ink with a sponge dauber. I'm not going to in this example, but you could. Again, you'd want to use a very light pressure because you don't want to mess up the grid lines. You don't want to put the ink into the gullies of the score lines, because if you do, then you're not going to get that really cool look. I found me a scrap, so let's just kind of see what we could do here with that. So if we just took our detailed images and we stamped them on the card, and then I'll get a sponge dauber out here, and we can add some color with our dauber. Okay, yeah, that's probably good. All right, so I'm going to set that aside to dry for just a second while I continue working on this. So I'm going to add this to my layer of early espresso. I'm going to bring in my stamp and seal here. Add a little bit of seal. Okay. And there's not going to be a very big border on this. As I said, it was only 1/8 of an inch bigger than the vanilla, but it's going to be enough that it's going to have it pop just a little bit. Okay. Go ahead and press that into place. Alrighty. Then I'm going to bring in a little bit of this fun bumblebee gingham ribbon. And I'm going to cut myself off just a little chunk here. And then I'm going to fold that in half. And I'm going to add it to the side of my card, just as a little accent piece. Grab some Scotch tape, press that down. And I need some dimensionals here. Go ahead and add some dimensionals to the card. We're going to go 5, 1 in each corner, 1 in the middle. Get the backings peeled off here. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my card base. We'll get that folded in half. Bone folder. Okay, and I'm going to set this down here in the corner, so there's about 1/4 inch from the bottom and on the side. Just a little bit different. Normally, you know, you would think you would stick this right in the center, but I thought it might be a little bit more fun to actually have it in the corner. Okay. I'm going to bring in my little sentiment pieces here. So I'm going to use this is our lovely Labels Pick a Punch. And I am going to slip my 3/4 inch piece of cardstock in here. You can see there are different widths in the tray of this punch. So we've got 1/2 inch, then 3/4, and then 1. So the center is going to be the 3/4. So I'm going to slide that in there. And then I like to look at the back of it to kind of line it up and make sure that it's not coming in there cattywampus or anything like that, so that I can get a nice trimmed edge there. And then I've got the 1 inch cherry cobbler. I'm going to slide that, and I'm going to do the same thing. Check it out. And there we go. So, well, I'm going to leave those out because I'm going to use those with my sponge dauber just to show you what I was talking about there. Where's my little sentiment? Here we go. So I'm going to ink up my sentiment in the early espresso. And we're going to stamp that right here near the edge of the vanilla piece. And then I'm going to add a little bit of seal to my cherry cobbler strip. And then we'll get that centered in there. So we just have a really cool little sentiment piece here. There we go. And then I'm going to trim that off. I've got my handy dandy little mini trimmer here. Get that cut off. Add some seal to the back of that, and then we will add it to the edge of the card right here. There we go. And then my final thing for this card was I'm going to add some champagne rhinestones to this. And I'm going to try to find some spots that are open, meaning they don't have any ink in them. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and put my gems. All right, isn't that pretty? I think that it is. So let me go ahead and bring back that little piece, and we will use our sponge daubers to gently add some ink. I'll bring this back in. Well, that's kind of messy. Let's bring in a plain one. All right, so I've got a little sponge dauber for each color here. And so we're going to start with the crushed curry, and I'm just inking it up a little bit, and then I'm tapping a little bit of it off because you can always add more ink, you just can't take it away. So, and then I'm just going to very lightly start kind of rubbing some ink around on this in some various spots. See, and I'm taking care not to press very hard so it doesn't fill up those spots where I scored. All right, and then we'll get the pumpkin pie, do the same thing. Again, just really lightly. So if you didn't want to use some bold images like I did with my leaves, you could use a sponge dauber. And then you could add your color that way. Okay. And lastly, we could grab some cherry cobbler. Get a little bit of that. Swirl it around a little bit. I think we might need a little more pumpkin pie in here. Swirl that on there gently. And we might need a little bit cherry cobbler up in this area just to kind of even everything out so we have all of our colors. Please give my video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it and you're learning something new. And please subscribe to my channel right down here in the corner. It helps me out immensely to be able to continue to bring you all these amazing free videos. And that's how you could do that instead of using your bold image stamps. So it's kind of a preference, you know, whatever you prefer. I kind of like them both. So let me get the rest of the cards in here. You can take a look at a bunch of them together. All right, here's what I've gotten done so far. 5 of those little puppies. So remember, it's my Totally Techniques online club, and I hope you enjoyed the video. You can do your shopping with me at shoppingwithbarb.com. I always offer a free PDF gift with purchase, and then I do give out some random gifts throughout the year. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.